for taking time to chat with us here at the Christian Beat, all about your upcoming music and tour and all the exciting stuff in your world.
Man, well, thank you for taking time to do this. I'll talk about it anytime.
So let's start talking about Shelter, which is going to be coming out Friday this week. Do you want to talk to me first about the title of the project and the artwork and how you think that pulls it all together for what you're trying to say with this one?
Yeah, yeah. So with me and albums, I don't know if there's ever been a time where I went into a project knowing what it was going to be called before it was started. I have some future things I'm thinking about that it's kind of a new way of thinking about them that is the case, but no record I've ever done have I just gone in and had like, okay, this is what's going to be called. This is what it's going to look like. Usually it's a year and a half, 2 years of writing, sifting through all these songs, and really, um, it's kind of the last thing that happens for me. It's like, hey, what do we call this collection of songs? And so that song on the album, it's the title track of the record, Shelter. It's out of Psalm 46, and it is a song about where we find our where we look in times of trouble, of course, but also like where the attention of our heart is pointed. And it was just such a beautiful way to talk about. I mean, all these songs have that sense to me and have
Mhm.
been, a help in my times of worship, and even like help in sometimes just sitting down and be honest with God about what's going on in your life. And yeah, so that song, when it came time, it was like, this feels like so many things um fit with this message, which is, God is our refuge and our strength. He
Mhm.
Where you turn in times of trouble, when it's just a beautiful psalm already, but just felt right. And then the cover photo, it's not even like I going and this is what the artwork is going to be, right?
Uh-huh.
But what I did want, what I said, what I felt along the whole recording process, and even the months leading up to before we actually got started in the studio,
Mhm.
is I felt such like a freedom and a permission to be myself. And that feeling is really beautiful going into an album. I know the opposite feels like too, by the way, where you feel like, you're feeling all the pressure, and there's just this sense of like free letting go, and finding hope in Jesus that you know, I wanted my body to say it as much as the lyrics. So yeah, I love that album. That album cover is really fun.
Absolutely. I'm curious. I know you've pre-released some of the tracks for the project, but of the ones that haven't released yet, is there one of those or a lyric in one of those that you're like really anticipating getting out and having listeners interact with?
Oh gosh, what a great question. Yeah, there's a few. There's a song called "Hopes for You,"
Hmm.
and that I almost called the entire album "Hopes." That was the other contender. But that was a song about. Originally, I wrote it with a friend named Hank Bentley. He's a producer in Nashville and a songwriter, and we wrote it thinking about our kids, like our hopes for them, watching them grow up, and almost like a prayer. And then when I went to record it, I had this like epiphany or something that I was like, I think I want these lyrics for my kids because I actually want them for me. And there's such a so all of a sudden it was like my own song like turned on me, and I started to see like, wow, which is so true for a lot of life. When you're getting advice from somebody about something, it's usually the advice that they wanted. It has
Yep.
nothing to do with you, and I had like a moment, even like recording that song where I was like, oh wow, you know, um, the first the first like lyric is keep your eyes open wide, keep your head lifted high. You won't want to miss it. And I think I grew up, I'm a pastor's kid. There's a sense of our lives and in our discipleship to Jesus that sometimes we forget what a miraculous gift we're currently experiencing. You did not choose when to be born.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you were given everything that made you you was handed to you in
Yep.
some sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I always come back to that because I feel, if I forget that, all of a sudden you get weird entitlement that creeps in. Words like I deserve and I should have. And instead of like this posture of what what have you ever had that hasn't first given from God? Every good thing in your life came from him. And even more miraculously, maybe, all the awful things that have happened in your life can be used by him for actually for your betterment. And so I don't know, there's like an invitation in that I'm continually thinking about as a dad and as a husband and songwriter and just a human being. I wake up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go through life with my eyes shut and my head low and miss out on the gift that's right in front of us that Jesus participated in and invited us into. So I love that one. That's a long-winded answer. Oh my gosh, I could talk about these for days. Like this is
No,
the worst question you could ask me. How much time we got?
no, no, but I love getting to hear more of the heart in your story and how the music came to be for sure.
Yeah.
That's always very interesting. Um, Another question for you, and this isn't like a favorite song question because I'm sure that would be impossible for you to pick, but which of the tracks right now is like most aligned with the season that you're currently in?
Ooh, wow, what a great question. Okay. Um, there is a song called Beautiful Life that, the bridge is it's like Ecclesiastes verbatim. Um, and it's every day is a gift from God, even the ones that have left their scars. Um, don't miss another moment. You don't know what you got until it's gone. You know, there's a sense of like the brevity of life
Mhm.
that I'm becoming aware of, I think, because of my kids' ages, where I'm like, wow, this is moving fast. Everyone was right. You know, my back hurts now. Everyone was right. Here we go. But the chorus is, oh, what a beautiful life. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. It doesn't mean it's always going to feel all right, but it'll be a gift if you hold it right. Oh, what a beautiful life. And, you know, he has made everything beautiful in its time. There's a season for everything under the sun, a time to reap, a time to sow. The entire experience we have in our lifetime is is it's one to be met with acceptance, in a lot of ways. And also, again, there's the gift word again, the gift that it is, but also this understanding that um, whether things are pleasant or not, God is fully present with us. And I just think about that. I think about that a lot. I think I think it's probably representative because of my chapter of life I'm in, but um, I don't want to miss it. I don't want to get to the end and feel like I was sleepwalking. I was
Yeah, absolutely.
so consumed with work or so consumed with worrying about tomorrow and all these things that we fill our mind with that take us out of now with
Yeah,
God and each other. And so that's a song that's been helpful. And it's really fun to sing. It's like so fun. So
awesome. No, that's a good
yeah,
one. And then before we start talking about the tour that you'll be on this fall, one last, track question for you. You had mentioned that like you the way you put together the projects, or you write a lot and then you
yeah,
go back
yeah.
and sift through what you've written. So do you remember which track was the last one that you selected to be on the album that, kind of in your opinion closed it out? You didn't have to keep looking anymore. You were happy with what you had.
Yeah, oh gosh, these are so great. I remember, well, I knew when we had our songwriting meeting, and I had everybody I wanted in this meeting be like, we're coming through 60 something songs. I want to hear what stands out to people. And I knew already that I was going to make an album that actually made me sad because I'd want there to be more tracks. So even when I'm going to say the track name, then I'm like, okay, this was the last track for the album, but there were more that didn't make it, and I'm sad about that. But they'll have their time at some point. But the
Uh-huh.
song's called "You Know What I Need." Is song title that I was like, okay, this is the last song we've tracked, and it's a simple song about our dependency on God, and sometimes we forget, we especially if your job's going okay, you're not having some financial stress, and maybe things in life are chill, and you're just in one of those years that things feel easy. Those are actually the easiest time to forget how still truly dependent and needy we are, and what a faithful he if we're going to need anyone, maybe needing the most faithful, loving, you know with us, God is such it's a miraculous present that we've been given. And when we all remember that, so many things correct themselves when we get that right, our dependency and our need for Him. So that song closed it out. It was the perfect song.
That's awesome. That's really great. Like I said, I love getting to hear all the different
Yeah.
stories and insights on these things. But I bet you're also excited to play these songs live. So I think it's later this month, you'll start off the tour with Chris Tomlin, an evening of worship.
Yep.
Just want to hear a little bit of what you want those nights to look like, what messages you want to try to get across, those types of things.
Yeah. So, um, there's a part of me that's like, an album's not even like fully done until you've like played the songs.
Fair.
Like they have to be played and shared and to be like, okay, the album's
We
done.
did it.
Um, so already, I have just so much excitement, and anytime I've been able to play with Chris out on the road has been so fun. And
Mhm.
I'm not even thinking for other people. I'm thinking selfishly for me.
That's
Like, oh, y'all thought I was here to play songs too? No. I'm doing this for me. Like, I want to be. This
yeah.
is so fun for me. Obviously, I'm being playful, but I am like, there's a part of me going into nights like that where a lot of the joy and the wonder comes from not knowing what's going to happen,
Hmm.
and it doesn't mean you don't have a set list, which I most certainly will have, but that's what I think communal worship, I think that's what makes it so impactful and important, because you have so many different people, different walks of life, different circumstances happening, and the unique expression that comes out of that cocktail of people,
Yeah.
is always different to some degree. And So I have already the songs that I just love to lead. Having the time of worship together is beautiful, but like, for me, like I need this as much as anybody else does, truly. So I'm coming into these nights with like, I want to worship and meet with God for me, and not just share new songs. And although I want to do that,
Yep.
there's always something that's more. You always take something away from those moments. It's not just a concert with music. You walk away the next day, hopefully, having been, impacted by something you heard in your heart, or you felt comfort and um, the nearness of God, and those things hopefully have a lasting impact. So I'm looking forward to having the best time because I'm an extrovert, and here we go. and and walking away with memories that just outlast those nights themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in closing, I want to give you just like a little bit of time and opportunity here just to leave a message for listeners that are either going to come across shelter or come out on tour. See
Yeah,
you all, and just whatever message you have on your heart that you want to share, and we'll use that to close.
yeah. Gosh, I know for me, I obviously I'm with an album coming out. There's so many nerves and amazing butterfly feelings. You have no idea how it's going to be received. But I'm going into this time in my life knowing how these songs have helped me.
Mhm.
And one thing that I would love people to feel and experience is that we're all in this together, and especially for songs of worship. And sometimes it's easy to forget. We get wrapped up in our own life and the pace of our own life and the millions of things we have to think about, the responsibilities we do have that we easily forget.
Mhm.
And there's a song on the album called "Sing Soul Sing," and it's kind of written in like hymn form. But the first line is "Love, love, wondrous love forgave a sinner like me. Love, love, wondrous love. Oh, how can it be?" It's really simple. It's simple, but when you forget it, like, oh my gosh, if there's anything good in my life, it's come from you, God. If there's anything worth remembering, it's that I don't have to hold it all together. You reached down and shared your grace and your mercy and your love when I could not save or help myself. That's when you met me. What can I even do to say thank you for those things? And I don't know, remembering to have, even training yourself to have a grateful heart in the middle of the ordinary, everyday monotony, at times of our
Mhm.
life. All of a sudden, when you have gratefulness in there, when gratefulness and thankfulness to God is the thing that's holding it together, all of a sudden, the ordinary things feel miraculous as well. And so I'm remembering that myself. Like, wow, He's already done so much.
Mhm.
He didn't really have to do more to prove his point, but he does. And there's new
Mhm.
mercies every morning, and he's faithful when we're faithless. There's this continued invitation to hold our life with gratefulness and thanks to God, the same way Jesus, took some loaves and some fishes and lifted them up, and he said he gave thanks to God.
Mhm.
And when the little that he had, he gave thanks to God, all of a sudden a miracle happened.
Mhm.
So I'm doing that with my own life. I'm just, God, thank you for what you've given me, for my family, and for people in my life, and the things that you've taught me. And when you give thanks, all of a sudden it's not little anymore. It's numerous. It's there's a surplus. It's over the top. It's abundant. It's more than you could have ever thought when thankfulness is a piece of that. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you again, Pat, for taking the time. I've really enjoyed getting to hear more about Shelter, upcoming tour with Chris Tomlin. Just wish you the best of luck with everything.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for doing this.